Okay, Nadanusandan. It is made up of two words, Nada and Anusandhan. Okay, Nada means the sound and Anusandhan means fixing your attention or concentrating on that sound or attending to that sound. Okay, so Anusandhan basically means research. And how will you do research on that sound? By attending to it, by concentrating on that particular sound. Now, in many schools, yoga schools, okay, many schools, they think this Nadanusandan is a physical technique. It is beneficial for the physical health. Okay, but it is wrong. This Nadanusandan is actually a technique of meditation. Okay, in this technique, the practitioner sits in any meditative posture and he observes Shambhavi Mudra. That means staring between the eyebrows, Shambhavi Mudra, and then the mind is drawn inwards. धीरे धीरे मन अंदर के तरफ खींचता है and the mind stops paying attention to the sensual information which is coming from outside. Okay, so this is that technique. Now, in this technique, in the beginning, it is very, it's not easy to go into this technique. So, as a preparatory practices, we must practice Bhramari Pranayam. Okay, and all of us know which mudra to apply. Okay, I will not explain it again. Close the ears, eyes, nose, upper lip, and below the lower lip. And then you have to practice this Bhramari. And when you stop this, you will listen to some sound in your left ear. See, this sound has been produced externally. बाहर से निकाला हुआ sound है. पर नादानुसंधान का मतलब क्या है? It is that sound which is produced internally without the friction of the two objects. The sound is produced internally and the mind is drawn towards that sound. ये नादा के तरफ mind खींचता चला जाता है and the mind stops paying attention to the sensual information coming from outside or sensual experiences. Okay, this Nadanusandan is also called as Nadopasana. It is one of the technique of Nadopasana. Okay, in Nadopasana, what happens? As I said, the sound is produced, but without the friction of the two objects. Like for example, in guitar, you strike the chord. In veena, you have to strike it, right? But this particular Nadopasana, in this Nada, the sound is produced without striking anything. Now, how does this happen? That we will see afterwards. So, in this fourth chapter, Nadanusandan, Lord Shiva has mentioned 1 crore, 1.25 crore ways of Nadopasana, out of which this Nadanusandan is the best. Okay, is the best and the easiest to attain. Okay, now this Nadanusandan, you can also call it as Nada Yoga. Okay, Nada Yoga. Now, this Nada, means that inner sound, has so much power. Okay, it has so much power that it can draw that perceiver to the origin of the sound, the source of the origin, of the sound. That much power this Nada has. Okay, now what is the source of this origin? Please mute yourself.
Please mute, please.
What is the source of this sound?
You mute, Saraswati, you mute.
Okay. What is the source of the sound? The source of the sound is... Okay. So what is the source of the sound? Okay. The source of the sound, the source of this sound is the Lord himself, the Supreme Lord. Okay. From there, this sound is coming. And this Nada is helping us to take us to that sound. Okay. It will take us to that sound. Right? Yeah. Now let us see. First, what happens? It will take us to that. I said it will take us to that Lord. And this particular nada, which is produced inside without striking, that particular nada is called as anahata nada, means unstruck sound. And what does this draws the mind inwards. Okay. And while the mind is drawing inwards, what happens? Automatically, the movements in the chitta starts reducing. That means you can remember that sutra of Patanjali, Chitta Vritti Nirodha. So we are actually going towards that process of chitta, because the movement of chitta, because it has stopped paying attention to the outside experience. Okay. So slowly, slowly the vrittis will start reducing. Okay. Then this nada perceived by this uh, practitioners, okay, of that Hatha Yoga, it is done in the deep meditative state. Okay. In the first stage, the nada is perceived. Okay. Perceived means you just listen. And in the second step, what happens? The mind, which is observing the nada, it gets fixed on that particular nada. Okay. Which you're listening from inside. And then the third step, what happens? This mind, okay, which is the cause of birth and death, it is a bija for birth and death. The mind and the sound becomes one. Okay, the mind and the sound becomes one. So this is the third step. Now, in order to reach this stage, हमें क्या क्या करना चाहिए? Okay, directly you will not listen to anahata nada, no? So that's why you have to become expert in pranayama. That's what we learned in pranayama, to activate that sushumna nadi. Correct? And you have to become expert in mudras and bandhas. Mudras and bandhas, especially the Jalandhar bandha and Moola bandha. Okay. Just imagine what will happen when you apply Jalandhar bandha, Moola bandha. I have already told you in that chapter. When you do Jalandhar bandha, prana which has to go up will come down. When you close your Moola bandha, prana, apana which has to go down will come up. Correct? And both of them will meet where? In the samana. And an explosion will happen there. So heat will be produced. The pressure will be produced. Okay. ये सिंपल लैंग्वेज है ना, समझ में आ रहा है ना सबको? मैं बहुत सिंपल लैंग्वेज में समझाने की कोशिश कर रही हूँ. ठीक है? हाँ. तो एक्सप्लोजन जब होता है तब क्या होगा? हीट, ज्यादा हीट प्रोड्यूस होता है. This, because of this excessive heat which is produced, the serpent which is sleeping, means kundalini which is sleeping, the shakti which is sleeping. I told you it is already in the form of a serpent, 2.5 circle. There's a small linger like thing, and 2.5 circle. Okay, and the serpent is sleeping there, kundalini shakti. Okay, now because of this heat, the excess of heat which was produced, okay, excess of heat which was produced, what has happened? It has suddenly woken up from its sleep. इतना दिन सोया हुआ था, ये हीट के वजह से क्या हुआ? वो नींद से जग गया. Okay, after getting up from the sleep, what it does? Now the Sushumna Nadi has become active, right? When that explosion took place, the Sushumna Nadi has become active. So this serpent, this snake, it is piercing through all the chakras. It is piercing through all the 3 granthis. Okay, chakras and granthis, and then it goes up. And when it goes up, at that time, this sound will be produced, this so-called sound. that inner nada. We are wondering, no, ये unstruck sound कहाँ से आता है? कुछ strike नहीं किया, कुछ नहीं किया, sound कहाँ से आता है? हम सोचते हैं वो sound यहाँ से आता है. ओके, पर इसके लिए प्राणायाम, मुद्रास, बंदास में एक्सपर्ट होना चाहिए. डायरेक्टली ये सब नहीं कर सकते हैं, इसीलिए हमेशा गुरु के अंडर में करना चाहिए. ओके, सो it will pierce through the granthis and it will pierce through the chakras, all the chakras, and go. Okay, yeah. In another Hatha Yoga text, what they have said that it's another Hatha Yoga text. Nada, na means prana, and the means agni. Okay. So when prana and agni becomes one, अच्छा उसमें क्या हुआ था? प्राणा नीचे आया, अपन ऊपर आया, है ना? So prana, when it exploded, heat was produced. Then prana and agni became one. Correct? Yeah. This is given in another text called Samgit Ratna. Okay, in that it is given like this. Prana and agni becomes one, and then the kundalini awakens. And it passes through the Sushumna Nadi, and then in the end, this sound is produced. And the mind, once the sound is produced, the mind, the chitta, becomes totally absorbed in that nada. Okay? Now, this is in short, I have told you what actually happens. And we also know, we also learned in the beginning that aim of Hatha Yoga is Raja Yoga. So that is what we are getting to. Now, when this happens, then it is called Raja Yoga. The mind was totally concentrating on one object. Okay, that is the nada. It became one with the nada. So as the chitta got attracted towards the nada, all the vrittis, all the mental agitations and distractions, everything went off. Okay, because now the mind has no time to look outwards. It has already reached that stage. Correct? So it has no way to look outside. Okay, now here again in Hatha Pradipika, what it is mentioned? It is mentioned that this hearing the nada, then what the mind does, like a cobra, like a serpent, it forgets all the distractions. What I said, that nada is so beautiful, so blissful, that the mind forgets all the distractions and goes towards this nada. Okay, and what in the Hatha Yoga Pradipika, what they said? Only by this continuous practice of listening to this nada over and over, again and again, continuously you have to keep listening to the nada. Only then all the external sounds will get subsided. Only then. And after getting into this nada, it will take at least around a fortnight, 15 days time to completely get absorbed and forget all the external sounds. Okay. Now, and after it forgets all the external sound, the fickleness of the mind, the wavering of the mind stops. Okay, the mind becomes stable. Okay, then what it does, it moves in the void, empty space, and that is called Niralamba. There is no support over there, and that space is also called as Brahman. Okay, that space is also called as Brahman. So that is why what happens in the process of Nadanusandan, ultimately the yogi, the practitioner, gives up all the thoughts, externally all the thoughts, listens to the nada attentively. Okay, and just like a honeybee, it is only bothered about the nectar. It does not care about the fragrance of the flowers. It is not concerned about the fragrance. It wants only the honey. Similarly, this mind, okay, it does not bother about anything and becomes absorbed in the nada. Okay. Now, once the mind is absorbed in that internal nada, the mind is fully controlled. It no longer wanders here and there. Okay. That means all the vrittis are under control. Okay. Now, at the initial stage, what happens? You can hear this different kinds of sounds. Okay, different kind of sounds are heard. What are all the different sounds? You can hear the sound of an ocean. You can hear the sound of a thunder, some drums, bells, okay, conch, shankar, okay. All these different sounds are heard, which is finally followed by flute, and then finally it is followed by veena, okay. And then finally, this humming bee is heard on its own. That Brahmari, which we purposely try to produce the sound of right, with our lips. Now this sound will be heard on its own at the last stage. Okay, then, okay. So now there are 4 avasthas. Okay, there are 4 avasthas. Now we will just look into that avasthas. Avastha means stages. Now please don't get scared of the shlokas and all. Shlokas to aate rahenge, jate rahenge. Okay, it is our culture na. हमको तो सीखना ही पड़ेगा वो shloka ना. Examination में नहीं आएगा. आप घबराइए मत. But for the purpose of learning, you should learn. Okay. So now just let us quickly see how many stages are there and what happens during that stage. Okay. Now first is this Arambha Avastha, which I have already yesterday explained in the shlokas. Okay. In the first stage. Okay. Now, what is the name of the space? Okay. In the Arambha Avastha, the space is in the Hridaya Akasha. I told you just behind the heart, that space. So it is called Hridaya Akasha. Okay. And there is a yogic name which is given in the shloka. It is called Shunya. Okay. In every shloka, this word is given. Okay. That means it is void. Okay. And in this first avastha, I told you, no, that Nada, the serpent, that Shakti gets awakened. Okay. Then it pierces through the granthis. Okay. Remember in the shloka it was given, I told you. So in that case, the first granthi is Brahma Granthi, which is situated in this space. And it is parallel to this Anahata Chakra. The name of the chakra which is piercing is called Anahata Chakra. Okay. And what kind of sound which is heard in this? Tingling sound. Tingling bell-like sound will be heard. Okay. Tingling bell-like sound will be heard. Now, how can you hear this sound? I already have told you that Kundalini has awakened. It has gone through that Sushumna Nadi. And then it has pierced through this, Brahma Granthi. That is why this bell sound is heard. Okay. In the second stage, which is called Ghata Avastha, it is called Vishuddhi Akasha. The name of the space is called Vishuddhi. And the yogic name is Ati Shunya. This is given in the shloka, Ati Shunya. Okay. Then, which Granthi it will pierce? Okay. It will pierce into the Vishnu Granthi. Okay. After piercing through the Vishnu Granthi, it will again pierce through the Vishuddhi Chakra. Okay. Vishuddhi Chakra is near behind the throat, behind the throat region. Okay, and that space is called Atishunya. And here, which sound will be heard? Only this whole table you have to by heart for the examination. Okay, which sound will be heard? Kettle drum. Kettle drum is a kind of that damru which Lord Shiva has in his hand, no? That damru. Okay? That damru is called kettle drum. Okay? Yeah. So, in the third stage, it is called Parichaya. Parichaya stage. Okay? This third stage. Now, here, the name of the space, because we should know where it is piercing. Okay? The name of the space is Bhru Madhya Akasha. Bhru Madhya means in between the eyebrows and behind on the back of your head. The space is in between the eyebrows. And what is the yogic name for that is Mahashunya. This particular space is called as Mahashunya. It is more important that you remember this yogic name. Okay, Mahashunya. And in this case, there is no granthi at all. Okay. So it will pierce only through the Ajna Chakra. Only that is the chakra behind this eyebrow center. And in this case, there is no piercing of granthi. And what sound can you hear? Here you hear Mridanga sound. Okay. I said you always remember all the sounds which they play in the temple during the Aarti. All those sounds will be heard inside, but in a proper order, in a proper sequence. That is the only difference. Okay, in a proper sequence it will be. Then, so next this Mridanga. Mridanga will be heard inside. Okay, and what is the last stage? Last stage is Nishpatti. Nishpatti, here there is no space at all because directly it has come here up to the Sahasrara Chakra and the crown of your head. Okay, the space is called Sharvapita. Okay, Sharvapita and Granthi. Now behind that, what is a Granthi? Granthi, that is called Rudra Granthi. Okay, yeah. So that is, and what is the chakra over there at the top? That is Sahasrara Chakra. Okay, so in this, when this, the moment this Rudra Granthi is pierced, that time what will happen? You will, this chakra will get activated. That is different. You will hear this sound, Veena and flute. These two sounds will be heard. Well tuned. You will feel as though somebody is performing a orchestra or somebody is performing giving a performance. Like that you will feel. Okay. So these are the 4 stages of which you have to remember very clearly. Okay. But you should also know the background about Nadanusandan. So that is why I gave that. I gave all these shlokas from where it is taken. Now here we have already seen yesterday. So after doing all this, after it goes to the Sahasrara Chakra, then you say that liberation is attained. And there's this different comparisons are given. Okay, Nada and mind. So this mind is like the deer. Deer gets caught with the hunter's net. Similarly, mind gets caught with the Nada. Like, okay. So this was in short, I have explained what was yesterday I had explained to you, right? Yeah. Again, here they have compared it with horse, which is locked inside. Okay. So like that, the mind will be locked with this because of this Nada. Yes, yes. So now this is what I had to say in short. Again, they have compared it with the mercury. Mercury is always in the liquid state. Please mute yourself and then speak. How this liquid mercury, it is in the chanchal state. It cannot stay in one place. Right? But you can bring it in one place by adding sulfur, by solidifying it. Same way, this mind also. It is very chanchal. It cannot stay in one place. It's controlled. Restless mind. Nadashri, please mute yourself.
Can mute.
This controlled by this nada. Okay. So these various examples are given. Then this also I have told. This after hearing this nada, the mind, that is the Shakti inside, the mind, it comes up like a serpent, and then it gets captivated by this nada. Okay, so this is the importance of Nadanusandan. Okay, then this is just the a fire and wood. Okay, you need a fire to burn the wood, but once the wood becomes ashes, the fire also subsides. Within that, the fire and the wood subside. Okay, these are just a different example. Now here again he has given an example of the deer, okay, which gets attracted by the bell of the hunter. So same way this mind also gets attracted to the nada and it gets absorbed in that, totally absorbed in that. Okay, that's it. One more last and then. So what is the purpose of this Nadanusandan? What this does? All the bad karma is destroyed by simply concentrating on the nada. What happens? The mind and the prana, they dissolve and they become one. That is why he gave the example of wood and fire. You need fire to burn the wood, but after burning the wood, the both become one. So this Nadanusandan is responsible for destroying the bad karma. So finally, the mind again gets the distractions of the mind is stopped, and this mind and prana becomes one. Okay, so this is all was about Nadanusandan. Sir, can you please stop the recording?